Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to have everybody in today to talk about an action that I'm taking that's important. Winter is on the way, and I know we've been focused on lowering energy costs, lowering people's heating bills, stopping the kinds of price spikes that we saw last year. I want to share an update on what we're doing with a number of new steps. The bottom line is that gas and electric bills are too high, too volatile for people in the Northeast, and so we're doing everything we can within our power to cut them down. Now, here's what we've done to date. To lower energy costs, we know what we need to do. We need to get costs off of bills, and we need to bring in more supply. Those are the two things that need to happen. We need to get unnecessary costs off of bills, and we need to bring more energy supply into the Northeast region. So we kicked off the year by launching my energy affordability agenda. We immediately took $220 million off of customer bills last spring. $220 million came off of customer bills last spring. We then got discount rates to more people and removed outdated charges from other bills. All of this will save electric and gas customers about $6 billion over the next 5 years. So that's some of the action that we took already this year to get at lowering people's bills. I then followed that by filing my energy affordability bill that will save an additional $13 billion by increasing the energy supply into our state and making it easier for us to purchase all different kinds of energy. More supply means lower costs and lower bills. Now, it certainly doesn't help that we have a federal administration that's blocking energy sources like wind and solar for no good reason. They recently took away, the Trump administration and Congress voted to take away tax credits for solar and wind. They also, the Trump administration, halted further construction on two already sited wind farms just off the coast. The Trump administration has also made things more challenging for us by adding tariff taxes to many of the supply chains that energy suppliers need to build the energy infrastructure that they need, and that has also raised costs. So Donald Trump continues to do things that drive up costs for all of us, including when it comes to our energy bills. But as governor, I'm focused on doubling down on what we can do within our power to lower people's costs and to lower their bills. And that brings me to today's announcement. Today, I requested that our state regulator, the Department of Public Utilities, go through every line and every charge on gas and electric bills to identify any that can be removed, lowered, or adjusted. Every dollar has to be justified. If there isn't a real customer benefit there, it should come off the bill. This would be the first time the Department of Public Utilities has done something like this, but I believe it's absolutely necessary. I'm also requesting the DPU to carefully scrutinize the proposed utility rate increases that are before them right now. These rate hikes are unaffordable for people. In fact, tonight my administration will be down in Fall River testifying on the proposed rate increase by Liberty in that area. I've also called on DPU to focus particularly on infrastructure costs. They should make sure that every dollar that utilities collect for infrastructure is necessary and that it's used as efficiently as possible. Finally, I urge the DPU to expedite new solar power construction before the Trump administration's rollback of federal tax credits. All of these things are important. All of these things, in my view, must happen. I want to say a word about energy supply before we close out. We know, as I said, that to lower energy costs, we need to bring in more energy supply. And that's what my administration and I have been about. We've been talking for a long time now about an all-of-the-above approach when it comes to energy sources. That includes gas and wind, solar, hydro, and cutting-edge nuclear technology. This month, we partnered with the University of Massachusetts Lowell to drive the development of an advanced nuclear and fusion energy process to bring affordable power and good jobs to our state. That's how committed we are. We also continue to lean into solar, which, by the way, is the fastest and cheapest way to bring more energy online. I convened just 2 weeks ago leaders across the solar industry to meet with me and my team to talk about ways that we can bring solar development about in the Commonwealth more quickly. How do we bring more solar online more quickly in Massachusetts? It was a very productive conversation and meeting that we had. We also moved forward on an emergency basis to change our regulations. We did that earlier this year to make it faster for us to develop solar in Massachusetts. This program will also create jobs, and importantly, it will give customers in Massachusetts $300 million back in savings and benefits every year. That's an additional $300 million in savings every year when we do this. I'm glad to announce that this program begins accepting applications for development starting tomorrow. Our goal is to bring the equivalent of one power plant online in terms of solar energy in the next year alone. That's what we expect to build out with the solar deployment. It'll be the equivalent of about 900 megawatts of energy, which is the equivalent of one power plant. We're going to do that by building out this solar as quickly as possible over the next year. We're acting with urgency to do all of this. The DPU action we're calling for hasn't been done before, but it's necessary. That's because we're a great state, but things cost too much. And I know our families and our businesses need relief, and that's what I am looking to provide. It's why we cut taxes, we cut college tuition, we cut the cost of housing for seniors and ban broker fees for renters. We're doing the same thing when it comes to energy. Every single one of the actions that we're taking and that I'm talking about today is focused on one thing: saving you money. And we're not going to stop until these costs come down. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
Governor, does the DPU's action need, does the DPU have the authority to remove these charges from bills, or will that need another step of action to actually take effect?
We believe they do, and that's what I've requested.
Do you think, if they're going to review all charges, can that be done in time for this winter to actually have an impact on people's bills? What's the timeline for actually?
Well, I made my request today to the DPU. I think this is something they've got to get after right away. I mean, everybody knows what we're dealing with. It's not just a Massachusetts issue. It's a problem throughout the Northeast, and we've just got to act with just incredible urgency to do everything we can to lower costs, and that means this as well: looking at bills, looking at charges, and getting rid of charges that aren't justified, that aren't providing a customer benefit.
Do you want to see the Mass Save program cut even further than it was already earlier this year?
We already made adjustments to Mass Save, and the program is working as it's supposed to right now, but we made significant adjustments to it earlier this year.
So you say that you support...
Do you want to say anything more about that?
Natural gas, Governor.
Okay.
What are you doing sort of natural gas capacity? There's always been criticism of the state that the prices are high because the capacity is constrained. There's not enough. You've opposed pipeline expansions in the past. What specifically are you doing on natural gas to lower prices?
Yeah. Well, a couple things. Number one, 40% of the energy that we consume in the state comes from natural gas. It's an important supply. It always has been. It will continue to be as we move forward and transition to a renewable future. In terms of gas, I think I've been pretty clear and consistent about this. I have advocated for the expansion of the Algonquin line, which was recently proposed. I think that's really important and a way to bring more gas supply into the region. I also supported bringing more LNG into the Everett terminal. So I've been about bringing more gas supply into Massachusetts. I never stopped pipelines. What I did is I stood up for ratepayers and said that's a bad deal. It was going to cost ratepayers back years ago $8 billion to build those, and the pipeline companies wanted to put it on the backs of ratepayers. And our view was, no, you put it on the backs of shareholders, and that's what the court ultimately decided. But I've been clear. We need all forms of energy right now into the state to lower costs, to bring more supply in, and I've been supportive of gas.
Governor, off topic, but the government shutdown is entering week 2 now. Is this still a fight that Democrats should be pursuing, or should they be signing on to this clean CR from Republicans?
I mean, right, we're going into 2 weeks. It's absolutely unacceptable. Washington needs to get back to work. I was with TSA workers the other day, thanking them for the job that they're doing. I've talked to a lot of federal employees right now who are working and working without pay to deliver safety, to deliver security, to deliver financial assistance to people. We've got federal employees who are working right now at FEMA, at TSA, at the Social Security Administration, who are not getting paid. How are they going to pay their bills? How are they going to feed their families? How are they going to make the car payment? You know, every day that goes by puts these families at risk, these people at work at risk, and it's just wrong. And so Congress needs to get back in there, and President Trump needs to get back in there, and they need to reopen government. But we already see the impacts. We see the impacts. I mean, just today I learned that because the Social Security Administration, while they're working, they've been stopped from sending out certain payments. There are 12,000 seniors in Massachusetts who are not going to get their payment checks because they get them by mail. They don't have direct deposit. I mean, that's just one example. But, you know, the impacts of all of this are devastating. They continue to mount every single day. It's wrong. Government needs to reopen. And, you know, these federal workers, God bless them, who are showing up to work right now in Massachusetts and around this country, doing their job. It's time for the president and Congress to do theirs and reopen government.
Governor, your administration no longer reports real-time shelter spending data because a state law mandating that expired. Will you voluntarily release FY26 spending data, or would you back a law to mandate your administration to report that data again?
Yeah, on the shelter data, you know, we were required to by the legislature to submit those reports. We did that. And we're no longer required to. I will say this, we continue to assess the impact and what's happening within the shelter system. You know, as people know, I inherited a huge mess as governor when I started with the shelter system. It was totally out of control, it was overburdened, it was mismanaged, it was not well run, and it was not equipped to deal with the numbers that were coming in at that time that were going to creep. And so, you know, I took action. A number of reforms I instituted, including background checks, establishing a wait list, establishing a process for getting people case managers so that they could more quickly get into permanent housing, residency requirement, length of stay limitations. We took a number of steps to really rein this in, and as a result, costs of the shelter system have dropped precipitously, and importantly, so have the numbers in the shelter system. We're going to continue to assess things and evaluate things as we go, but we took important steps.
Will you release FY26 data, Governor?
Your response to Kristi Noem's video message that she once played at airports, including Logan, blaming the Democrats on the shutdown, and also if you have any remarks about the 13-year-old Everett boy who was detained by ICE and sent to Virginia.
I mean, Secretary Noem is a walking violation of the Hatch Act, as are so many members of the Trump administration. I mean, day after day, it's unbelievable. It's outrageous. And, you know, if you want to get into politics, the Republicans control the House of Representatives, the United States Senate, and the White House. Do your job. Get back in there and reopen government so that, you know, people who are working right now can get paid, and so that the American people who rely on so many of these services from our federal government and federal agencies, whether we're talking seniors or veterans or, you know, little kids, can get those services. And it's disgusting to me to see this go on day after day. You know, I just, in the strongest terms, just say, do your job. Do your job, get back in there, and reopen government. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do that. They know what they need to do, and it's on them.
Governor, you plan to attend the protests on Saturday?
On Saturday?
Do you plan to attend the No Kings rally?
Oh, I don't know what my schedule will be on Saturday.
Governor, just follow up on that. You were asked about the Everett 13-year-old being detained and moved out of state. I mean, do you feel that is, as we're learning the deals, a proper action given his age?
Yeah, you know, Matt, I don't know enough about the circumstances of that particular arrest or detainment. I continue to say, though, that what I see out of ICE here in Massachusetts and around this country is just wrong. You know, the Trump administration president said he was going to come and take the worst of the worst from our communities, and I've said I support any efforts to address public safety issues here and all across the country. I say that as a former AG and as a prosecutor, but you know, that's not what we've seen. When you see a teenager picked up on his way to volleyball practice, or you know, construction worker or landscaper workers just, taken from their trucks on the way to work. People who've been here decades, paying taxes, raising families, contributing to our communities, now just ripped from their neighborhoods, ripped from their livelihoods, and ripped away from their families. That's not making anybody safer.
Governor,
One
you-
more
Thank
off
you.
topic and then we'll,
Sorry,
one on
sorry.
topic, I have a two-part. One, I've talked to a number of energy experts who feel that programs like Mass Save were kind of unfairly blamed for high energy costs last year. Wondering if you think that's true. And two, as part of your request to the DPU for review, are you asking them to look at all at utility rates of return for certain capital investments?
Yeah, well, I'm going to let Secretary Tepper speak to both those things. I will say, though, just to underscore the action that I took today with DPU, it's exactly that. It's to look at what the charges are, and is there a customer benefit there, and what is the ROI to the customer who's paying the bill. And if there are charges there that aren't justified and aren't to the benefit of customers, then those should come off people's bills.
Yeah, what's driving increases, I'm too short for this, what's driving increases is infrastructure costs and supply cost.
For both electric and gas?
Yes,
Mostly gas.
yes, both. And so what this does is to look at all the charges, including looking at the utilities and how they're spending money on infrastructure and making sure that we're using it as efficiently as we can, the stuff we currently have, and that we're building stuff in a way that's the most cost effective as possible.
Do you feel like Mass Save was overly blamed for last year's?
We took some money from Mass Save, the DPU did, and I think we're moving along in a good direction.
All right,
Governor,
thank you.
Governor,
Thanks,
Governor,
guys.
Push to investigate sheriff's department
Thank you.
budgets.